you guys seen the movie WALL-E? You know, that really cute romantic Disney movie where a robot pretty much lives in an abandoned planet, collecting all the trash left behind by humans and stacking them up to imitate buildings, where people literally left the planet because it became so inhabitable. This is a fictional movie, of course, but can we imagine that being a reality for us in the future? We do so much as a society to contribute to mass production and overconsumption. According to Halsey Bick, the average American throws away approximately 80 pounds of clothing and textiles annually, occupying nearly 5% of landfill space. Now, secondhand shopping can be a very great way to minimize the amount of overproduction and mass consumption. About over 54% of my survey takers were from the age 18 to 24 and were college students who are, for the most part, very low income. Thrifting is a very reliable source. I have done extended amount of research trying to see what we can do as a society and to see how secondhand shopping could be very beneficial for us to better help our planet. First, I will discuss the issues involving mass production and overconsumption. Second, I will discuss the issues with fast fashion companies. Finally, I will discuss what we can do to consume less. Mass production is something that has slowly become more and more prominent. Mass production can be traced back to the 1920s when Henry Ford started the Ford Motor Company. Through his introduction of vehicles, it started mass production in factories. And since then, mass production has grown exponentially. It has spread from food, clothing, packaging, all sorts of things that contribute to this. And what continues to grow is the space of landfills being flooded with waste. The average landfill is 600 acres, and there are 3,000 active landfills in the United States. This adding up to 1,800,000 acres of habitat that have been lost due to landfills. One of the most pressing concerns with the release of gas methane. According to the University of Colorado Boulder, methane is 84 times more effective at absorbing the sun's heat and carbon dioxide. Overproduction in landfills are contributors to climate change. Because methane is so effective at absorbing the sun's heat, it could further enhance climate change. Meaning, the more we overproduce and overconsume, the more we contribute to methane being released into our atmosphere. 27.3% of my survey takers answered that they were not personally affected by overproduction. This could be true, but the longer that this goes on, the more effect it'll have on the planet that we live on. Now that I've discussed the dangers of overproduction, I will discuss one of its biggest contributors. So, many clothes go to waste and end up in landfills. According to Kowalski, a circular economically fast fashion companies are some of the biggest contributors to the process of overproduction. Fast fashion is essentially the process of making cheap clothes out of cheap materials and selling it for a cheap price. According to the University of Arkansas, most fashion clothes are made with 700,000 microplastic fibers. These microplastic fibers are contributors to the release of methane and carbon dioxide, as mentioned earlier. Fast fashion companies are making clothes that are meant to be disposed of. And fast fashion companies not only steal designs from other artists, but also create something called microtrends. Microtrends are essentially trends that go in and out of style very, very fast. So essentially, fast fashion companies are making clothes that are meant to go to waste. Fast fashion appeals to low-income communities, as mentioned earlier. Because these are made out of cheap materials, made out of cheap products, they are sold to people for a much lower price. So people from low-income communities, and maybe some even from the middle class, really enjoy buying from these companies because of the low price. They unfortunately do not last long. And that's one of the problems of fast fashion and its contributors to being disposed of. And now that we've discussed the dangers of fast fashion, I will discuss some barriers. According to my survey analysis data, about 27.3% of my survey takers mentioned that they don't shop secondhand. And one of the biggest contributors to this was the fact that they think shopping secondhand is dirty. Of course, when clothes are being produced and moved around from different locations, like for example Goodwill, they will collect dust in the trucks that they're being transferred, in the bins, depending on where they came from. But I think something that is to be remembered is you have the option to look through the clothes that you want. Not to mention, it's very easy to simply wash the clothes to your desired taste. A second barrier is that some of my survey takers do not believe that shopping secondhand can be helpful for the environment. However, that is incorrect. Will it completely solve the solution? No, but it is taking a few steps closer into the right direction. Moving on to some of our solutions. Secondhand shopping is still catering to the low-income communities. In fact, most low-income communities shop secondhand because it is so affordable. You can get good brands that are made with durable materials, and it also allows you to explore a ton of different styles. Buying secondhand doesn't waste as much as buying new. It takes 2,700 gallons of water to produce a single cotton shirt. Washing secondhand shirt a few times would be so much less than the production of making one brand new shirt. Plus, shopping secondhand leaves a smaller carbon footprint. Claudio of Toxic Culture states that 2 to 15% of Americans shop at Cognizant or resale stores. The Council for Textile Recycling estimates that 2.5 billion pounds of post-consumer textile waste clothes go to people before they go to landfills. Our current antics might be promoting a world like the one in the movie WALL-E. However, if we take the necessary steps, we can do our absolute best to preserve our life and existence on planet Earth. Some of the main points that we talked about today were the dangers of fast fashion companies, the dangers of mass production and overconsumption, and a solution of how to consume less. Secondhand shopping is a cost-effective and easy way to lower your carbon footprint and not contribute to the overproduction of clothing and mass consumption of clothing.